It is an honourable fight against deforestation, but have you thought about these women? Like, it's just recently that I fell in love with this. See that communities like my friends are not at the receiving end of every climate action taken.
Let's talk Africa, the Africanness of Africa, the beauty, its people, our peculiarities. This is Unzip Stories. I am DS Bello.
Hi, it's me, Shafi. Welcome to Unzip Stories Africa, where we come every single time to listen, to learn, to grow, and most importantly, get inspired. I think if you are like a follower or like a strong listener, by now you should have climbed this line. Anyway, guys, welcome. We're introducing a new series, but before I go right into it, I'm going to tell you a story and you try to guess what this series should be called. My friend resides in a suburb area, whereas I reside in the heart of the city itself. And so there's a bridge, and beneath this bridge flows a polluted stream filled with various forms of waste. And meanwhile, whenever we walk over the bridge, I'm so fast to express my frustrations regarding the waste issues and emphasize how you guys know this is bad for the environment. So on several occasions, I've attempted to persuade him to, come up with an initiative. Let's do a cleanup project. However, he often intervenes before I can even finish my speech. Every time he's so passionate explaining that the waste doesn't originate from their community, but rather from the city where I live. He points out that while we benefit from a clean environment in the city center, they have to grapple with the waste that flows down into their community. But lest I forget, when it rains, the river smells so well. And it also swells to the point where it submerges the bridge completely, rendering it's impassable for both pedestrians and vehicles. And, sometimes I'm concerned that if this continues, the entire community could be at risk of expecting a flood. But that's not the gist. We joke about this all the time, but it's not a joke. And really, I think it's unfair on that community and suburbs and villages and, any other community. No community should suffer as a result of activities of the city or even any other community, really. This is the heart of this series. We will be discussing for the next 2 months, climate justice. Well, maybe now you're asking, right? Like, what is that? Climate justice. I myself, it's just recently that I fell in love with this. But honestly, I've never heard the term either. So let's unpack it together. And this is actually a series that exposes us to a learning opportunity. Climate change. Climate change is a global issue, one that we all have been fighting collectively and raising our voices against to help save our planet. However, in our fight against climate change, as we take action, we must be careful that our solutions are equitable. We must see that communities like my friends are not at the receiving end of every climate action taken. It is unfair that after taking climate change action in the city and enjoying this clean and safe environment, the suburbs will have to deal with our mess. It again takes us to the conversation of how much does Africa contribute to the depleting ozone layers. Well, that's conversation for another day. But the truth is that, like my friend protests, even if actions are taken in such small communities and countries and regions, it's not sustainable because the root cause of their problem is in the clean cities. So the problem must be addressed from the root. Climate justice goes beyond suburb and cities, or rural or urban communities, and as far as interstate countries, disparities, countries in the global south and low-income countries in the industrial north bear the burden of choices made by the elite classes in richer countries to overexploit and consume the world's resources. Climate justice has to be adopted. Just to explain a little bit, climate justice emphasizes the responsibility of developed nations and corporations in causing climate change and advocates for equitable solutions that prioritize vulnerable and marginalized communities. So, the story of my friend is one of just many. How about the women in the rural areas who depend on firewood from fallen trees to cook? And we just come up and tell them they can't use them to cook because of climate action. Well, this seems like an honourable fight against deforestation. Have you thought about these women and the livelihoods of their families, what it may look like because of these actions? I could go on and on, but I wouldn't because this is just an intro and I can't spill the tea. So the biggest question is, how do we minimize these problems? That is what we will be focusing on Unzipped Stories Africa. And typical of us, for the next 2 months, we will be running stories where we discuss issues that share stories of people who are taking action that is fair and equitable. The climate justice series will give you insight about climate issues, solutions, ways and methods to achieve climate justice. So stay tuned and look forward to an amazing episode coming right your way. Don't forget to comment, share these episodes with your friends and family. Sharing means you're joining the world to save the planet. Alright guys, thank you so much for listening. I am Shafi and I'll see you on the other side.